Hey everyone, this is Carbonite, bringing you another standard match. Today on the left we do have Ryan playing, actually my Messiah deck, and on the right we have myself playing the Lianorn Masques build that we've featured before on the channel before. So we are going to be having Messiah start first, which is a very good thing for me, a very bad thing for Messiah, because honestly, just this matchup, I've played this matchup quite a few times with Leonorn, and I think I've only lost against Messiah once, because honestly, it's just like Messiah has a bunch of really bad matchups, but this one is particularly bad because going first, you can't even stride before Masques actually have the opportunity to persona ride on your face. So that it's pretty bad in that sense, but there is also the sense that Leonorn can be a very rushy deck, which is another thing that Messiah really does not like. Anyways, we are starting things off just riding into the grade 1, swinging at the Vanguard for a nice 13k. Not really going to opt to block it because putting down a 15k shield is a one to pass, which is definitely not something you want to be doing when you're playing Messiah. You can't really take that many risks. You need to make sure you have everything secure. So we are starting off here calling down an Arrestor Messiah, swinging at the Vanguard, taking that. We're going to be putting down a 15 shield to OT to pass the Vanguard, but of course, as you saw there, we are actually going to get hit with that OT, which is pretty unfortunate because that means we do go to 3 right away, and we did lose out on that 15k shield, which we probably would rather have not, but I guess the one upside is that the OT is out of the game and it's not going to be coming out on what would be a probably more explosive turn. Anyways, we are going to be doing the typical turn 2 play, calling out to that Dragon Tree. I think it's called like Neil Serving or something. Using the skill to counterblast 1, soul blast 1, add the Masques. We did see the other copy go into the damage zone off of that OT, so thankfully we're able to make sure that they both don't go into the damage zone, but looks like we are going to be doing pretty good. When we do get that Dragon Tree marker, I mean, right now it doesn't really mean too much. Looks like we're just going to be swinging the Vanguard first, which I think I've mentioned this before. I like doing when they have a rear guard, because the only if they get defensive, you can always just swing at the rear guard unless they get a front trigger, which always really hurts. But we are going to be hitting a critical trigger there and dealing 2 damage, giving the extra power to the rear guard, swinging at the Vanguard for 25. We did hit a defensive trigger, but since we are still on grade 2, that is still going to be calling out a 10k shield, which is going to, in this case, probably just be that 15 that we saw. So we are tied up at 3v3, and it looks like we are probably not going to be riding up for Messiah, mostly because I don't think it's that bad of a play. But at the same time, Messiah does not have the same ability to kind of grade 2 game as honestly as Chronojet does. But we are seeing a swing at the rear, swing for the 10k and then a 28, which is actually a pretty good play, as we are going to be seeing later. But I'm going to opt to not ride up because I think I have a better grade 2 game. I'm going to be calling down that Tide line, which is actually not the greatest idea, but honestly, I have a Diantha in hand, which is why I decided, it's worth calling down, because if it dies, I can always just revive it with the Diantha. But as we are going to be seeing in a little bit, it's not actually going to be very good. It's not going to be that great of a play. Let me swing at the Vanguard for 15, probably not going to do anything. Swinging for a 13. I believe I made a miscount there. I think I gave the extra 5k from Prosper, but Prosper doesn't actually activate unless you have a Leonorn Vanguard, which is, if you're wondering why we called that front instead of probably just a 5k guard. But at the same time, a lot of your 5k guards are kind of combo pieces and you don't really want to give them up. We did see a little bit of a misplay with the Awakening Messiah, where it only cals itself when you place a grade 4, not a grade 3. But we are seeing the Mikani come down, allowing you to soul charge, swinging the 13 at the Vanguard. And I think this is a very big misplay. I decide to not take the Vanguard swing, and we are going to be seeing it bite me in the face literally during this next turn. But anyways, we are going to be swinging the 16 at the Tide line, not going to be guarding it, because as I said, I have the Diantha in hand, so I'm not really worried about it dying. So we can see in my hand, I do have the Mask. The one thing I am missing at the moment is the Leonorn Masques, so I'm going to be riding into that base Leonorn. activating the Mask of Hydreigon, hoping to see that Lianorn mask off the top, because if I do see it, I can actually just kind of go full combo, but unfortunately we're only going to be seeing that the Dragon Tree, the grade 2. So at this point it's looking like, oh god, this is going to be a vanilla grade 3 turn. I want to honestly finish it this turn because I don't really want to let Messiah stride, or if they do stride, I want them to be at very high damage so that I can pretty much close things out. But I'm going to be using the Leonorn skill here to draw a card, and wouldn't you know it, I draw into the Leonorn Masques, which is terrible because now I have to call down the Diantha and I'm unable to use its skill, because if I use my last counterblast, then I won't be able to use the Leonorn Masques skill. So I am just going to have to go into the Leonorn Masques, unfortunately without my Tide Line. So if I'd been a little bit better and not called the Tide Line, or at least taken that last Vanguard swing and have had enough counterblast, then I would have been able to actually call out that Tide Line and at least have a little bit, well, much better numbers. And just looking at the hand, we would have either pushed to 5 this turn, or we would have been able to close things out. But it looks like we are going to have to just settle for kind of just weakish swings, swinging the 20k at the Makani, just get rid of it. One extra soul they have is another card that they get to draw. Swinging a 20 at the Vanguard, very easy to guard swings, and they do end up losing to defensive as well. So very, very risky situation here, not having the firepower that we would theoretically need in order to actually close things out. Swinging the Vanguard, hitting into a heal trigger, which unfortunately whiffs, which would have been really nice to make this go a lot better for me. Restanding the rear guards for 2 more 20k swings, so there is a bit of a debate to like whether we guard these or not, because they get shut down. Well, this one doesn't get shut down. I forgot it gets an extra 5k and then the 10k from the trigger. So this one is hitting for a good number, 35. So looks like we are just going to opt to take that one. So we did actually manage to push to 5. Honestly, Messiah is in kind of a tough situation. We've got 3 cards in hand, but thankfully we did actually save that stride fodder, so that's going to let us come back and actually do plays. So, and the other thing that I am counting on is that we don't really have a lot of enablers. We do have that sacrifice in the back row, but if hopefully, I'm just right now hoping we don't have any more combo pieces, but we do see the Kneel coming down, and I think we do also see another sacrifice, and then the what's that? Makani coming down as well. So not the best board. Honestly, you would prefer Arrestor, other than just a sacrifice. Arrestor is just honestly the best card in Messiah. But you know, it does enable you to do your plays, and we are going to be putting in a bit of work. Swinging the, I believe that was supposed to be 23. I think we forgot about the extra 5k from Klein, so I just guarded it with a 10k shield. It should have been a 15-point shield. But we are calling out the Keen, unfortunately only calling out down an Alter Ego Messiah. Swinging at the Vanguard, unfortunately only going to be getting those 4 attacks this turn, not going for the 5 because we do need a Arrestor for that. So just going to be swing, counterblast 1, unlock the 3 cards. The Skill of Awakening is going to give the Makani an extra 10k, and then we are going to give the Makani the extra 15k from unlocking, 3 cards. So we're going to be hitting it with an Elementario, so free Elementario. First check is going to be a critical trigger, so kind of a dicey situation for me, just because I have to decide what I want to take. I can't take both of these attacks. I do have to guard one of them, and it looks like we are going to opt to put the power on. That's Alter Ego side. So second check is going to be a sacrifice, and third check is another Makani. So that drive check is looking pretty good for me, because it does mean that, well, they don't have as much shield value, but of course we are going to be seeing only 2 cards unlocked at the end phase, so I do have to worry about another 2 cards drawn. Going to be opting to take the 38 and then PGing this other swing, which of course would be lethal. There was probably a debate for me taking the 2 critical so that I do actually have the 2 counterblasts I would have needed. I believe I still might have a Diantha in hand at this point, so actually being able to have another counterblast might have been really good. But unfortunately, I think we missed Persona Ride here. So honestly, like, without Persona Ride, consistent Persona Ride, Mask does feel a little bit not as great, because well, especially in this deck, because if you don't Persona Ride, you don't get access to Tide Line, and honestly, your swings are just pretty weak. As you can see, I have like a 10k, and that Diantha, if I push it up, is just a 13k. But it looks like I'm going to actually opt to use the Leonorn's skill, which honestly, maybe I should have done last turn in order to kind of retire the sacrifice last turn. Yeah, we're going to be retiring that sacrifice now in order to just like kind of reduce his the number of pieces he had, so he would have only been drawing one card. So probably a little bit of another bit of a misplay, and we do see that other second Diantha would have been nice, but it doesn't really matter since we didn't even Persona Ride. So this is what it is. We're swinging the 10k at the Mikani, just preventing him from getting more soul. Swinging the Diantha at the Vanguard for only a 13, so there's just going to be a 5k guard. Guarding with a sacrifice, which is kind of interesting considering that that is a combo piece. We do still have a very big Vanguard, and it looks like Nasai was not able to actually draw into a PG, so we're going to be guarding this 39 attack. That's 33-48. That is a 1 to pass. We do only have Twin Drive, so maybe it's a decent play because we do have these other two columns that are going to be calling out for 5k guard on their own, because the plant token is going to get an extra, already got an extra 5k from Prosper, and then Diantha can always hit by itself. And that's of course not even calculating any triggers, but it looks like we are running decently low on cards with shield value. We have that Mikani, and then a heal trigger, which is the crit one, and then I believe that's another critical trigger. So it looks like we're going to put in another Mikani in order to make it a 2 to pass. I do flip over the crit trigger on that first check, but I unfortunately am not a risking man, so I'm just going to be giving it to Diantha, and it looks like it paid off because the second check was just another copy of Leonorn, a card I definitely would have rather had during the last turn. Going to be swinging the plant token first for a 15k. We could just, looks like we are just going to be guarding with a little bit of a wrong order. We should guard with the heal first, because it doesn't actually get an extra 25k shield because it has to be except from a trigger effect. But what we're going to do, just remedy guard it with the plant token, and then guard the other one. So looks like we actually top decked into that stride fodder, and that is going to let us stride with the last card in hand being that sacrifice Messiah. And honestly, at this point, it looks like we kind of just call down our whole hand and hope to win it with this. Although, is that a... yeah, I think that is a sacrifice. I guess we'll see in a second. But we're just going to be locking the Awakening Messiah, lock the... what's it called? The Diantha. I don't know why I'm having such trouble. Using the Destiny Dealer that we drew off of the Stride Fodder in order to search out another Alter Ego Messiah. Of course, we don't actually have any in deck, but in case you didn't know, Destiny Dealer does actually allow you to get Alter Ego Messiahs from the drop as well as the deck. So just discarding it to get that little bit of extra power and just calling it out. So we do have a full front row of Alter Ego Messiahs. Who would have thought? But anyways, we don't have the best board, obviously, because these things aren't great attackers, but we still have the crest giving us extra 10k to the entire front row. So it looks like we're just going to be swinging at the Vanguard with a 31, going to be taking this one, unfortunately not hitting into a defensive. Swinging at the Vanguard. The extra plus 5k that you saw there was we were supposed to lock the sacrifice Messiah, but we did kind of forget. But of course, we are just going to be remedying it there. Using the, we're just going to be PGing this Vanguard, checking into one critical trigger, giving the extra 10k to the rear guard, and then obviously this is going to be our last swing for the turn. So it did get 10k from the trigger, 10k from the Awakening, and then of course plus 15k from the crest, and then another 10k from the two unlocks. But we did actually make a little bit of a misplay there. You saw that I believe the total should be at 58, and I guarded for exactly 58. I think we've missed a extra 5k when we were calculating it in the game. So he said 53 and I guarded 58. So apologies for that little bit of a misplay, but you know, I guess. I don't know, if whatever. Anyways, so I'm just going to call down the entire hand. I did have that Persona Ride. I think I top decked another Persona Ride. Going to be swinging the 20 and then the 28. I do like these numbers a little bit better, but just because, you know, magic numbers. But that is going to be the match. Sorry for a little bit of a misplay there. You know, that's what happens when you play in real life. People make mistakes. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do all those YouTube things. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.